Happy Labor Day weekend. The theme or labor is synonymous with work, right? So, what kind of labor should we be focusing on most? I think most of us, we think about the job, we think about stuff that has to be done around the house. There's relationships that need some mending. All those kinds of things are certainly work. But there is no work greater than the work that we do on ourselves. And I think we get drawn away from getting better. Getting better doesn't just happen just by listening to people on social media or online. It has to be a crosswalk or a bridge from hearing the thing that we agree with, chewing the meat, spitting out the bones, and then devising a plan and a strategy to apply it, to make it real in our lives. And I think that the biggest part or problem that we have, or one of them amongst many, is the ability to be consistent. It's consistency over time, having a regimen, a workout, if you will. When people go to the gym, they may have a coach or a trainer who has a plan for somebody to execute week after week or day after day, and they know that if they stick to this plan with so many sets, so many reps over so many weeks, that this person will be that much stronger, or this person will be that much more fit. And so when we talk about being fit in the areas that matter most to me, right, in terms of what makes somebody a good person, a great person, it's in the eye of the beholder. But I think that we can agree that there's a such thing as average. And I think that we may even be tired of average. We're of the average guy, the average woman, the average worker, the average American really isn't doing well. If we look at on average, the amount of debt that we hold as Americans, on average, when we think about being overweight as a nation statistically, when we think about on average, the things that we probably wish were not the way that they are, but the average is actually pretty low. And so there has to be a something within an individual that says, I don't want to be average. I want to leave average and be at least above average. And so in order to do that, we have to begin to work on ourselves. Once again, happy Labor Day. The labor is going to be geared towards you in the major areas of our lives. Those areas are, to me, they are our physical fitness, our financial fitness, being above average in our vocation, whatever that thing is that we do, and certainly in terms of our social fitness, whether that be family, relationships with friends or loved ones. And I also want to throw in there is what it's going to take to achieve that. Last week we talked about belief and believing the right things about ourselves. It's also going to take a large dose of emotional intelligence. And when I think about emotional intelligence, Daniel Goleman, who wrote the book Emotional Intelligence way back in the late 90s, he had 4 domains of emotional intelligence. There was self-awareness, there was self-management, self-regulation, and the 4th one is escaping me right now. However, I think that the biggest one we should start with or begin with is self-awareness. And I'm really talking to anybody who's looking to be successful or move into any aspect of leadership. You got to get control of yourself. You got to get control of your emotions. I spent some time on social media this weekend. I had some downtime, and I was like, damn, people are snapping and losing it. Said, really? Are you going to say that to somebody that you don't know? I mean, outright wishing harm on people because of their disagreement or because they were triggered. You got to think about it. It's one thing to get triggered when somebody's in your face and they say something and maybe you might feel physically threatened. But to get so triggered over what somebody who you don't know, who you cannot see, if you click on their profile, it may be them, it may not be them, But, to have actual animosity, the leaders among us, you can't do that. You have to get yourself under control. You have to be emotionally intelligent and recognize that it's us who has the control, the remote to our thermostat. And I say thermostat and not thermometer, because a thermometer, it reads the temperature that is in a room, but the thermostat actually sets it. You have to, on a regular basis, and me included, I've been guilty, to make sure that before you even pick up the phone, before you enter into certain discussions with people, before you have face-to-face meetings, that you've already prepped yourself to know that I'm going to coach me throughout this, because coming into this discussion, I already knew that there was a potential that this person was going to trip, or that they were going to say things that are incendiary, or things that are designed to try to get a rise out of me. And sometimes when I'm having discussions with people who are that way, I remind myself, Carl, be a man. Carl, you're the leader. Carl, settle down. Carl, your heart is racing. Slow it down. We have to have the ABCs of meetings and interactions with people. I'm sorry, not ABCs, but ADAs, BDAs, which is before, during, and after. When we have these discussions, meetings, whether they be business or maybe they're personal, you have to ask yourself, before this meeting starts, or I hook up with this person, what do I want? What is the agenda? How am I going to set the tone for this interaction? Then, what do I want to achieve during this? Is this just hanging out? Are we coming to have fun? If so, and somebody gets upset in the middle, you got to remind yourself, hey, we came to have fun. Let's do that. Or we came to do business. Let's keep the main thing the main thing. And then there's after. What is the follow-up going to be? Another way to put that is, and then what? After we have spent this time or interacted, is there something more to be gained? A friendship, a relationship, or is it just see you next time? I don't know. However, these are good questions to ask ourselves that might cause us to do a lot better when it comes to our own emotional intelligence, or rather our self-awareness that leads to self-regulation. The self-regulation has to do with what we do with what we are now aware of. And so let's work on ourselves, because some of us, we get upset when other people don't recognize our greatness, right? We know that we the bomb. I'm dating myself by saying that, but hey, all right. I know you guys say these days, you know that you're lit, or whatever you say. But the point is, you really aren't that good, and you're not that great until other people begin to tell you or tell other people about you. Until then, just keep working on yourself. We got to stay fit physically, financially, vocationally, educationally, mentally and emotionally, and above all, spiritually. Because if we take religion out of the spiritual aspect, and what we're talking about are the things that give our lives meaning, the things that we believe, the things that we think that matter, that motivate us on the most deepest level of our being, is typically tied to whatever it is your spiritual connection is. I'm a Christian personally, and it does direct and it is my compass. But whatever your thing is spiritually, everything else is going to fall in order from there. We got to get better. We got to work on ourselves. Some of us more than others. Nevertheless, it's Labor Day. Let's do it. I'll holler.